Thank you. Okay, so the road, lessons learned on the road less traveled, because as an entrepreneur, there is really no book. There's no Bible that says, here, this is what you need to do. There's many business books out there, and there are many books about how entrepreneurs have had success. But at the end of the day, there's only your way, and you have to put one foot in front of the other and take that journey. And I love this image because of Dorothy wearing her red shoes, and she had all of those challenges trying to get home, and then Glinda, the good witch, tells her you had the power all along. And I feel like we all have the power, the resources within, and also to surround ourselves with people that can help out. So along our journey as we start as an entrepreneur. And always, I feel entrepreneurs are very optimistic when they start out. And I love this image also because we always think, oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. I know I'm going to start this business and I'm going to have great success. But the reality is there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of challenges and successes along the way, and also failures. And failures are actually one of the best learning lessons in a business, to be able to fail and then come back and learn from those failures and then have success. And as someone once said to me, entrepreneurship is a whole experience of failures and success, failures and success. So always fine-tuning and taking a step back to see how you can improve the way that you're currently working, the resources that you have, the people that you have in place to then move forward with your success. And always, we want to be different. We don't want to be boring. We want to be original. So how can we really tap into being, as we talked, as Kristen had talked about over the past few days and some of the speakers, about being authentic, about being true to you, being really true to yourself and your passions and what is really important to you and what is close to your heart, and really being able to then express that out in the world. Because being normal is boring. And expect the unexpected. When you have expectations, I feel there's always disappointment. And especially as an entrepreneur, you can never expect everything is going to work out perfectly. So how can you really feel comfortable with the uncertainty, with unexpected things that come up in business every day, and really being able to embrace those opportunities of uncertainty and be able to look at them as maybe it's a better opportunity than you could have expected or could have imagined for yourself. So sometimes those setbacks or things that come our way end up being better for ourselves, both for our business personally and professionally. And just as you had touched upon, Amanda, about like getting out of your comfort zone, because I truly feel that when we step out of our comfort zone, that is really where the magic happens. When you get out of where the comfortable places and stretch yourself and challenge yourself. Me being here on stage, this is totally out of my comfort zone, and it feels great to be able to be here and challenge myself and share my learnings with you today. And so when I was a little girl, I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Like, I had friends that knew they wanted to be teachers, they wanted to be lawyers, they wanted to be doctors, and I was so envious that they knew at a very young age what they wanted to do with their life. And for me, well, I did know what I wanted to be. I had two images in my mind. One is I wanted to be a stewardess because I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see the world, experience different cultures, travel internationally. And then the second dream that I had was to be a clown because I wanted to make people laugh. And I seriously considered going to circus school after I graduated college down in Florida in my mid-20s. And then, I don't know, it didn't happen, but there's always tomorrow. But this is what I wanted to do. And I did not come from a family of creatives. Nobody was artistic. I have teachers and lawyers and doctors in my family, so there was no role model. There was no one that was really in my sphere that could show me or inspire me to really use my artistic talents, because when I was a young girl, I used to love coloring, I used to love drawing, I used to love cutting and collaging, but it was never really nurtured in me until I was in my 20s. I was living out in Los Angeles, and I had graduated from University of Massachusetts at Amherst in communications and was working at a publishing company. And then I just found myself doodling on napkins and on Post-it notes, and finally got a book to do my doodles, and ended up moving back to Boston and took some textile design courses, and that led to a placemat company, which led to me moving to New York City and getting more experience doing product development. So I was working at Bloomingdale's in home product development, and then had these girl faces that I was always, even as a young girl, I loved drawing faces. I always saw faces in signs and images. Faces were always popping out to me. So in 2002, I launched an accessories brand under my name with these girls. They all had names and personalities. They were named after my friends and sisters, and had no idea what I was doing. Again, I don't have any background in entrepreneurship, or in design, and I just figured it out. And along the way of figuring it out, I found a manufacturer overseas in Asia and decided to go for it. And so I placed an order of 4,000 units, because that was the minimum order I had to place. Not really thinking, I had worked at Bloomingdale's and I was used to these big orders that they were placing, but not thinking, okay, this is just little me placing this crazy order, no sales, no business plan, I had no strategy in place. And so here I am, ignorance is bliss, right, when you're starting out as an entrepreneur. I had 52 boxes that arrived to my apartment on the Upper West Side that were piled high. Thank God I had high ceilings. And I had one trade show. I had the New York Gift Show that I went to with a rep. And I was with a multi-line rep, so there were all these other products, and he had me kind of tucked in the corner on the bottom shelf, and I had maybe 3 orders from that show. There's a really great store in Los Angeles called Fred Siegel. They placed an order, and the Nordstrom buyer came by, and thankfully they placed an order later after the show. But I didn't have any other plan for selling. And thankfully, I had a friend's boyfriend who was working on Wall Street, and he said, I will help you with your financials. Let's sit down, we'll put the spreadsheet together. So he was doing all the numbers, like, Elissa, you still have 3,940 units to sell through. You better start selling. And I was like, holy moly, like, what have I done? And just out of pure fear, I thought I need to, be a warrior woman, saleswoman warrior. And I got on a plane. I went to San Francisco. I went to LA. I went to Dallas. I went to Chicago in the first 3 months, and I secured showroom reps. And at the time, it was a wholesale business. I was doing the gift shows. I was doing the accessory shows. And thankfully, that first year, I happened to have a product that was well received in the marketplace, that was the right look, the right price point, and ended up selling to over 400 accounts my first year. So some of the learnings that I wanted to share with you from this crazy experience that I had was the importance of teamwork and how you can't do it alone. And in my early years, I did everything alone. I had some interns and I had an assistant. Thankfully, I had my reps that were selling, and I was also doing some of my own shows. But in retrospect, I wish I brought more people into the business in those early years. I had the business for 8 years, and it was an incredible roller coaster of a ride. I had a lot of great success and a lot of challenges along the way, but I really feel it's so important as an entrepreneur to really assess your strengths. Like, do your own SWOT analysis personally on yourself, along with doing one for your business. You know, really identify and be honest, like, where are my strengths? And yes, I don't want to be doing accounting, or I'm not a good writer. Who do I need to bring in to help me with these areas of my business to succeed? And this quote by Paul Coelho, the author, I love this quote because this really resonated with me, that when you really want something to happen in your life, that the universe truly does conspire in helping you to achieve it. And I really felt that people just came into my life to help me, and just doors opened, which was just an incredible feeling. So I knew that I was on the right path and the right way as I kept growing my business and had 11 trips to Asia, sold thousands and thousands of products. After the 4,000 units, ordered 5,000 units. Every season, I was ordering 5,000 to 10,000 units, selling all over the country in the US and also in New Zealand, Australia, and in Canada, and also in Italy for a short time. As entrepreneurs, we always have a very long path. I always say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, because you have to really be committed and be in it for the longer journey. And someone once told me that if you looked as an entrepreneur, if you saw the mountain in front of you, you would be frozen, you wouldn't move forward. So it's really about taking one step at a time. And along the way, which I feel is so important as you're on that mountain, getting to the top, and you will eventually get to the top, is taking time for self-reflection. It's so important as an entrepreneur. Just because we chose to start a business and we feel obligated to continue with it, but maybe we're not happy doing that business anymore. Maybe there's something else that we want to be doing, or another direction, or something else that we want to explore. So it's really important, and I suggest every 6 months, or at least once a year, to self-reflect and evaluate where you are, entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, where you are in your life and in your work, and see, is this really bringing me joy? Is this really what I want to be doing? Or is there something else or a different direction that I want to head in? Because we are not trees, and we can move. We can reinvent ourselves. We can rebirth ourselves. And it's really important to know that you can take another path. And maybe it will be a better path and more fulfilling path. So keep moving forward. And another big lesson that I have learned is to never take anything personally. It's very difficult when you're a designer, an artist, or an entrepreneur, to take things personally in our work life. But it's really like the biggest lesson that I can share on the stage today is not to take anything personally, because you don't know what the other person is going through that they're sharing some things with you. I've had things over the years, people say things, and it was extremely hurtful. But when I take a step back, I thought, you know what, this wasn't even about me, this was about them. So know not to take anything personally. And after I mentioned having my business for 8 years, I realized that it really was not sustainable. I had every order, 5,000 units. I had a warehouse. I had all this leftover inventory, and then the recession hit. So I decided to make a lifestyle change, and I pivoted. I moved to Philadelphia from New York City, and I ended up teaching fashion entrepreneurship at the local universities, at Drexel University and Moore College of Art and Design, and found that there were some incredibly talented designers that were coming from these schools. And at the time, I was asked to be a judge at Philly Fashion Week. One of my fellow judges worked for the city of Philadelphia. She said, hey, we're starting a fashion incubator. You'd be the perfect executive director. So 2 years later, because they were just getting this idea launched, but it was really it's a program that was launched 11 years ago, and it was really about the city of Philadelphia, Macy's, and the universities all coming together to support emerging fashion entrepreneurs, because we realized there were no incentives or resources for these entrepreneurs that wanted to grow their businesses in Philadelphia. So I'm really, it was like a perfect fit having my entrepreneur background and also now being able to work with entrepreneurs and support them and help them grow and nurture their businesses. But another really big passion of mine is working internationally, and I've had the opportunity to work with the U.S. State Department, working with various fashion sectors around the globe, and I'm looking forward to continuing more of this work. This was my trip from Italy. I was working with some women refugees in Palermo, and also was here in Rome for International Women's Day, as mentioned, and up in Milan giving some lectures. And I'm also starting a new journey. I'm launching my home brand this fall. So this is something that I am really excited about, and now that I have all this experience and learnings, it's interesting to see how I'm going to now take it out into the market, into the world. So to end, I just wanted to share, keep your eyes open, keep optimistic, and there's always going to be clouds in the sky, cloudy days, but there's also clearer skies ahead. So always know that you can continue to move forward. So thank you.